Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Coffee with Coaches podcast. I am your host still in 2022, Kevin. And with me, I have today Charles R. Cain. Charles is a CPC and ICF credentialed coach, providing professional career and agile coaching services for motivated individuals and organizations, which is a real simple way of explaining a lot of the powerful stuff that he does in his coaching practice. So, Charles, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Kevin, and glad everybody listening. Hope you enjoy this.
So far, so good. A lot of people really love the fact that they can queue up a number of episodes and just listen to them back to back to back because they get these very similar perspectives from these distinct and unique coaches. And well, I like the good feedback, and I like being able to provide that for people to really let people engage with all the different kinds of coaching that are out there.
Coaching is a lot about shifting perspectives around. I mean, each coach is going to have a different perspective, a different read on it. Mm-hmm. So by shifting that around, people are getting a whole bunch of good information there.
That's really the power of it too. It's got very same foundational concepts, which we'll get to here in a moment, but everybody has their unique take on it that can reach different people in different ways, powerful ways. So I love it. As you can tell, I get really excited about it. My hands start gesturing up on the screen, but let's get back to you and let's start with your beginning. Let's begin at the beginning. What got you into coaching? What pulled you into this whole world of coaching? What prompted you to start a coaching business?
Well, I got pretty lucky early on in my professional career in that I had a great mentor and a great coach. And I learned very interestingly that mentoring is not the same as coaching. Mentor is somebody that imparts knowledge to you. The coach is really a mirror. And so by working through that, I thought, wow, this is very interesting. So in 2014, I had the opportunity to really watch somebody do an outstanding job of explaining what coaching was, and I was bitten by the bug. So I went through the whole CTI program, became the CPCC, the ICF coach, and it was night and day. What I thought was coaching really wasn't. And so when I went through that program, it just really, oh, wow, I want to be able to impart this experience that I have to others.
That desire that once you discover it, you get a taste of it. And this is something I like we were talking about earlier, like there's this common theme through almost every coach that I talk to is just that realization that I got to share this with people.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly true, Kevin, because when I got that first taste of coaching many years ago, it was like, oh, this is very unique. And then I started doing more mentoring. One of my hobbies is I teach scuba diving, or I did. And so I thought, well, this is a lot like coaching. And then when I experienced it, it was like, no, this is not anything like coaching. And so yeah, I was like, oh, let me correct my mindset. Let me correct my mindset of what coaching is really all about. And then when the light bulb went off in the head, it's like, oh yeah, I got to share this with everybody.
I bump into that quite a bit, and not in a bad way either. But there are subtle but very distinct differences between, say, like coaching and mentoring, or coaching and consulting, or coaching and even like therapy, where there's very similar emotional and intellectual processes can go on, but they go on in very distinct ways that some people have trouble differentiating. But I feel like coaching has become much more clearly defined these days as people have engaged with it, like yourself.
It really has. And it's interesting that you talk about therapy and coaching and mentoring and facilitating, because I have a very good way of explaining these. Mentoring is, I'm like a sage on the stage. I have a knowledge that you don't have. And so I'm going to give you that knowledge and help you learn how to do what it is that I do. Whereas coaching is, I'm a mirror. I'm holding up a mirror and letting you shift your perspective, and you talk about things to yourself and ask questions and maybe move that mirror just a little bit. Therapy focuses on correcting things from the past. Coaching is about making what you think the future is going to be possible. And then facilitation, you don't bring any agenda to it. Whereas as a coach and a consultant, I may bring, definitely as a consultant, I'm bringing a a certain solution to the problem, whereas the coach is not.
And they're very simple differences, very, very distinct, very clean, especially when you explain it that clearly. But there's a lot of power in those distinctions, and also understanding what stage you're at, whether it's personally, professionally, whether it's you individually or with like a larger team. Just knowing what you need and what different role you need represented can be a really powerful way to connect with the right coach, with the right person.
Right. And that's one of the big things about the coaching arrangement is, for every client that I have, I like to sit down with that client for an hour, sometimes even 2 hours, and just have a conversation with them and make sure that the two of us are on the same page. Because if you don't have a good relationship with your coach or with your client, guess what? You're not going to get the results that you were looking for. And so shop around, find the right one that gels with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's, on that subject, we've already been kind of talking about it quite a bit, but let's talk a little bit about specifically your coaching practice, your business. What would you say? And I like to throw that word unique out there. It's already come up in our conversation, but like maybe like unique or your favorite, or the part that the aspect of your coaching approach that you find to be the most powerful.
Well, that's a great question, Kevin. And when I think about this, and I look back at the clients that I have and have had over the time, I tend to focus on people that are introverted. Me, I know it's hard to believe, I'm somewhat of an introvert myself. When I first meet somebody, I tend to watch them and observe them and such as that. But then it's always the introvert in me that says, well, I didn't really want to do that, or I didn't think about that. And so knowing how introverts may respond to changing situations, I feel like, okay, that's the direction that I'm going to focus in, is helping introverts come out of that shell just a little bit. And so by working with them and helping them, then guess what? The world becomes a much better place, because previously all you ever heard from was the extroverts. Everybody's really loud, and so you got a lot of clutter and everything. But by having the introvert, oh wow, he's listening to this. However, they may have a really great idea that nobody's ever thought of.
Yeah, really encourages the dynamic and diverse perspectives. People who maybe who would have like an idea that, and sometimes it can be difficult to understand. Like there are, like I fancy myself a bit of an introvert myself, although I've learned how to like project and express myself much better. And I'm in my mid 40s now. That's been the work of my entire adult life, is trying to come out of that shell that I started out in, but without like having to change my identity. Like I'm still introverted in the way that I think and the way that my heart, my emotions work. But because I've gone through multiple coaching programs, I've had some fantastic mentors and friends and family even that have helped me to come out of my shell without, if this makes sense, breaking that shell entirely, without throwing away everything that makes my introversion valuable and my perspective unique. And having a coach that can help you, that has helped me unearth that, I mean, it's just powerful, just begins to describe it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly the case with me, is that coach that I had early on knew that I was an introvert. And so they would nudge me ever so gently and pull me out of that shell just a little bit. And so one of the techniques that I use is I use what's called the leadership circle profile. And it's a 360 assessment. You've got reactive states and you got creative states. And a lot of times people that are introverted, at least in my case, I found that, okay, I don't like to rock the boat. Well, guess what? That holds me back from achieving the results that I want, because that's that reactive state. If you withdraw, then guess what? You're not investing in anything. So by going through that and being able to see that and work on that aspect of it, guess what? Now you're enabling them to get out of that reactive state into that creative state and achieve the results that they want in their life.
It's just that simple. It's just that powerful. I love it. And like we've been talking about, like you could tell both of us we get excited just talking about it, because we've experienced how much light and how much joy is and how much just happiness is just there waiting for us. It's just, I love talking about it, and I could talk about it all day, but I do want to make sure to save some time here at the end of the podcast to talk about what's coming up next for your coaching business, for your coaching practice? Are you working on any courses? Do you do any speaking engagements? Do you have I don't know if you have a book cooking somewhere for 2022? You never know.
Don't have a book cooking at this point in my time. What I am actually doing is starting to embrace Substack, which is a online blogging platform that will also, you can also take subscribers, either free subscribers or paid subscribers. And so you can say, oh, well, we're going to talk about this in this particular email, and it will email it out to all your subscribers. So started doing that at the end of December of last year, because I've noticed quite a few people are jumping on that Substack bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
So doing that a lot. Right now I'm working with a couple of Agile teams that are brand new to the Agile project mindset of doing things. And so I'm using my coaching skills in that respect. So after 2020, boy, it's nice actually working with people. So I've got that going on. As I mentioned earlier, I am working on my what's called the professional certified coach certification through the ICF. So I'm picking up a few more clients, in the one-on-one space, and so starting to branch out into that group coaching as well, group and team coaching, because with me working as a consultant sometimes in organizations, right now I'm working with a retail financials organization. I've worked with a pharmaceutical marketing organization and entertainment domains for several years. So since that seems to be a lot of the bread and butter, I'm going to stick into the group coaching environment as well.
Man, you're up to a lot of stuff. And I mean, the opportunities abound, and you were certainly taking advantage of them. That's great to hear.
Yeah. I mean, like I said early on, my focus has been on helping grow the coaching practice and helping people experience what I've experienced over the years, and showcasing that. And so that's been how I've been building the business up for several years, is word of mouth and recommendations from people.
Speaking of word of mouth, where can people find you? Where do you like to engage with people? Your website? Do you have a preferred social media that you really like to use?
So yeah, I've got a website. It's www.ccconsultinggroup.com. I'm also on Twitter. You can find me at CC Coach Consult. I'm also now on Getter, the alternative to Twitter. Same handle, CC Coach Consult, and then LinkedIn. I'm on it as Charles R. Cain.
Excellent. Yeah, I find more and more every day. I used to dismiss LinkedIn as just, whenever I was looking for a job back in the day, but I found it to be a very rich relationship building platform. You can really connect with people there.
It's actually improved over the last several years. I've been on LinkedIn since probably the 1990s or something like that, or early 2000s. And so, yeah, a lot of people are now starting to write content for it. And that's a good thing, because there's another content source. I've written a few posts and articles there myself. So
just another good place to connect, which it's what we're all about.
That's exactly it.
Well, Charles, I could do this all day, but we've reached close to the end of our time. We went a little bit over, but not too bad. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin, for inviting me, and I hope everybody enjoys it. And, feel free to reach out if there's any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.